Okay, back at it now. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers has looked good. Now, has their level of competition really been the highest yet, other than that week one against the Niners when they looked very okay? I don't know. They did play a Patriots defense, who I do like their defense quite a bit, but they were missing guys in key starters where it makes it a little bit easier for the Jets to pick on them slightly, especially when the Patriots' offensive line couldn't hit the field. So nice to see Aaron Rodgers play good football again. I don't know if it's 2020, 2021 MVP Rodgers, but he's playing good football right now, and that is great. Few other things from the Jets here. Brees Hall and Braylon Allen look like an absolute terrific tandem for the team. I can't believe so many teams did pass on Braylon Allen, especially the Cowboys, who desperately need a running back right now. But Braylon Allen's looked like the best rookie running back so far, and looks like they have a great tandem for the foreseeable future anyways. That's nice to see. Garrett Wilson is the first round receiver to catch a touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers. That's pretty nuts. Speaking of Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard has 2 less yards than him on the season and 2 more touchdowns. If you're a fantasy owner of Garrett Wilson, something you really don't want to hear, but nice to see that Aaron Rodgers is getting his old pals involved in New York. The pass rush absolutely killed the Patriots' offensive line. Jacoby Brissett was sacked a ton. Even Drake May was sacked before he got in. Will McDonald, another 2 sacks. In this one, brings it to 5 in the last 2 weeks. He's having an absolute incredible breakout sophomore year. But this is a good confidence boost game for the Jets, all things considered. Looked iffy against the Niners week 1, looked pretty good against the Titans week 2, and then this is a game where it's like they were clearly the better team. They controlled the clock the entire time. It was good. It was good. So shout out to the Jets. It looks like you have a competent football team for the first time in over a decade. Patriots on the other side, they were just, simply outmatched in this one. No ifs, ands, or buts really about it. I don't care who is out with injuries. There's tiers to this. The Jets are in probably 2 tiers above where I have the Patriots ranked right now. Yeah, not good, but this is kind of what I expected from the Patriots. I think I mentioned this last week a little bit, where it's like I knew the defense was going to be good. The defense does its job. Gonzo locked down Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson did have a touchdown, but I think his stat line against Gonzo was like 4 catches for 25 yards and a TD. Garrett Wilson will get going. I don't know who the Jets play this week. They play someone bad. I think they play someone bad where I'm betting Garrett Wilson to get like a 100-yard game in this one, simply because I think that Rodgers wants to get him really involved in a game against a team that doesn't have like a shutdown corner. Should be able to do it. Yeah, the Patriots punter, he had a great game. He was phenomenal. I forget his name. I looked it up. I think it's like Bryce Baringer. So shout out to Bryce, I guess. And then, yeah, Drake May came in, looked pretty good on the final drive, actually got them into the red zone, got sacked, got hit, and that's kind of why you don't want him out there, because you saw what that offensive line did to Jacoby. The run game could absolutely do nothing. They tried to get Pop Douglas involved, and when Pop had the ball in his hands, he looked good. But I think it's kind of the beginning of the end for Jacoby Brissett. I don't think he'll play probably in the next 2 weeks, but look out for week 6. So I think when Drake May should be maybe making his debut. I don't know, though. We'll keep going, though. Broncos 26, Bucks 7. Bo Nix played well. Simple as that. Didn't do really too much. 25 of 36, 216 yards. Also added 47 yards rushing and a rushing TD. It's a very good stat line. But that is the peak Bo Nix stat line. 36 attempts, 216 yards. It's game manager type stuff. And nothing wrong with being a game manager. We've seen game managers make a shit ton of money in this league. But again, it's steps in the right direction. It looks like Bo Nix can be a quarterback in this league where after that first week, I didn't know, but every week Bo Nix has gotten better, and that's what you like to see. Their defense is also, like, I won't say great. They played great in this one, but their defense is just very, very solid. And I think it's as simple as that, where other than Pat Surtain, not a lot of stars, not a lot of people you really look out for, but this Broncos defense is just solid. They got after Baker a lot in this one. Yeah. And I think that's simple as it for the Broncos. The Bucks on the other side, missing Vita Vea and Antoine Winfield Jr. is huge. Like, those are your two best players on the team. Those are your two best players on their defense specifically. And you could tell that they were missing them. I don't know how much it would have mattered. I don't think the Broncos would have scored 26 points if either of those guys were on the field for the Bucks. But end of the day, doesn't really matter. Bucks offense just didn't look good, and part of the reason is because Rachaad White sucks. Rachaad White was someone who the fantasy community fell in love with last year for good reasons. He was a late round pick, got a shit ton of touchdowns. Not a good running back, though. Got all of his points from running touchdowns, which is fine. But Bucky Irving has looked like the more explosive back, the better back, someone who you could actually give the ball and be like, okay, he can get me 4, 5, 6 yards on this play. Not Rachaad White, who's averaging like 2 yards a carry. And Todd Bowles said after this game, where, yeah, Bucky Irving is going to get more involved, will be getting more snaps in this one. So that's something exciting to see. But this is, yeah, I didn't think the Bucks were this juggernaut team looking good after 2 weeks. Man, losing to the Broncos, maybe not, but like the Bucks are going to be, again, 9-8, 8-9, that level of team. It is the NFC South. So, yeah, they need to get healthy on defense. That's for sure. Next game up here, Texans 7, Vikings 34. Didn't expect this. I thought that maybe the Vikings can keep it close, but I thought this was going to be a game where the Texans, one of the best teams, one of the best rosters in the league, coached very well. This is where they will show that they will outclass a team like the Vikings, who, again, hot start. It's been a nice story, but like this is where, okay, they're going to separate themselves a little bit here, and they did. They did separate themselves as the Vikings, maybe one of the better teams in the league, versus the Texans team, who I still believe a ton in, but that was not a pretty game whatsoever. Start with the Vikings here. They're the only team in the last 20 years to have 5+ sacks in the first 3 weeks. Brian Flores, I mean, Brock Purdy said it best last week. Your scheme is crazy. And it is. I have some people tell me, it's like, oh, you hate Brian Flores. You're a Dolphins fan. You wanted him out. And well, I did. I did want out. One thing I have always said about Brian Flores, that man is an excellent, excellent defensive coach. And honestly, he might be the best defensive mind in football right now. What he is doing with his kind of, I keep saying ragtag group of players. He has a bunch of very good players on that defense. No true stars per se, other than Gilly, but Gilly's old at this point. What he is doing with this group is incredible so far. And just confusing QBs. CJ Stroud had the worst game of his very young career so far. But yeah, and even this defense is doing it with no first-round pick Dallas Turner in this one. No Ivan Pace Jr., who's one of their starting linebackers. Mekhi Blackman, who was a corner from them last year, he was out for the year. Like, they're missing guys, and Brian Flores was like, okay, next man up. We're going to keep doing this. So shout out to the Vikings. Shout out for Flores. He is someone who should get another opportunity to be a head coach, and hopefully that he realizes that his mistakes that he did make with Miami, that he can fix those and be a better head coach. And that's kind of what your first stint as a head coach sometimes is like, okay, I did that completely wrong. I know what I did wrong. I know what I did right. And now I'm going to fix my mistakes and just be a great head coach. I'm sure he'll get his opportunity in this offseason. And yeah, Sam Darnold, a 4-touchdown performance in this one. And I'm talking about, the Vikings are missing guys on their defense. They're also missing guys on their offense. Sam Darnold, I just said, four touchdown passes in this one. One to Justin Jefferson, one to Aaron Jones, one to Josh Naylor, one to Johnny Munt, who, if you know the name Johnny Munt, you probably don't. But yeah, I don't know. Sam Darnold, what a story so far to start the year. Absolutely incredible. I bet him to start the year most interceptions in the league, where I'm like, I don't have full faith in Sam Darnold, but where I was going with this before ADHD brain, the Vikings are also missing guys on offense. Jordan Addison, not playing right now. He's been banged up. Hopefully he was close to playing this week, so hopefully next week he's back in the fold. And they're also missing star tight end TJ Hawkinson. When those two guys come back, this offense that has already looked very, very good will get better. Shout out to Sam Darnold. The Raiders or the Giants are going to pay him so much money next year to be their starting QB if they don't draft one. Yeah. Congrats to him he's going to earn a big contract. I mean, it's a long season. I probably shouldn't say there's a long time for Sam Darnold to be the Sam Darnold we've known for the past 6 years, but this is the 7th year bump apparently for him. Texans on the other side. I mentioned it was the first truly bad game of CJ Stroud's career, and looking at the numbers, it wasn't that bad. 20 of 31, 215 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of the interceptions was a batted ball at the line that got put up in the air, and then the defender picked it. Not really Stroud's fault, but yeah, it's been tough. They're definitely mixing, but they're missing Joe Mixon. Cam Akers couldn't get much running the ball. I don't know. The Texans, I thought they were going to outclass the Vikings. The Vikings outclassed them in this one badly. And I'm sure this is a game where, we know what to work on. Go into the lab this week, come out. I don't know who they play next weekend. But I would not want to be playing the Texans next weekend, that's for sure. But it's a bump in the road for them. I don't think that this is going to be a defining game for the season. I still think the Texans are a very, very good team. But yeah, I really don't have much to say. They got whooped. It is as simple as that. Next game up here, Chargers 10, Steelers 20. There's a fly that's just buzzing around right now that I will kill very shortly. If it flies by my camera again, I might try to whack it. That would be cool to pick up on the video feed there. Yeah, Chargers 10, Steelers 20. A complete rock fight. This game was boring. It was boring until the very end. Didn't get a lot of love on Red Zone for obvious reasons, but the Steelers come away now 3-0, and they are 3-0 with 3 offensive touchdowns on the season. Yep. That's the Steelers. Steelers defense only allowed 26 points total so far to start this year. This is just what the Steelers do. They play conservative game manager type football on offense, and they just let the defense cook. And the defense does cook. TJ Watt doing his thing. Joe Alt had his welcome to the NFL moment against him, because as much as I like to say that, Max Crosby and Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett, all of those guys are on the same level, I think TJ Watt has another gear that those guys don't. He's a freak. He's so special. And that defensive line in general is just very good. But Chargers did what they needed to. 3-0. Mike Tomlin not going under 500 in his career. Simple as that. The Chargers, 10 points. And now everyone is hurt. Justin Herbert came into this one with a high ankle sprain. Re-aggravated that. He's probably doubtful for this coming weekend, and they got a big matchup against the Chiefs. So we'll see how that goes for them, because Justin Herbert doubtful. Rashawn Slater has a hurt pec, I believe. Oh no, I just said Rashawn Slater. Joe Alt got banged up in this one too. He left the game. Joey Bosa left the game in this one. Derwin James is suspended for this one. So the Chargers are going into a game against the Chiefs, big divisional matchup where won't have Justin Herbert probably, won't have Slater, probably won't have Joe Alt, won't have Joey Bosa, won't have Derwin James because he's got suspended. Those are your 5 best players on this team right now. I think the line right now, I think the last line I saw was Chiefs 8.5. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, this is, again, the Chargers 2-0 was a nice story. This is who they are. They get into rock fights with teams who don't have very good offenses, and I don't think the Chargers' offense is very good. And they played a very good defense, obviously, and the Steelers do this to a multitude of QBs, but Steelers so far have played Bo Nix, Kirk Cousins, week 1 with his Achilles, and now the Chargers. I'd like for the Steelers to play a real team at some point, but yeah, shout out to the Steelers, I guess. Yeah, I got to kill this fly at some point. It's bugging me. Keep moving on, though. Eagles 15, Saints 12. Jalen Carter was the big difference maker in this one. The Saints could not get the run game going. He was penetrating the gaps. He was an issue for that interior of the offensive line. All game, just absolutely disrupted anything that the Saints wanted to do. And the Eagles, after realizing that, okay, if we have Bryce Huff and Nolan Smith on our edges to try to seal up the edge in the run game, they will get abused. And they started playing Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, like all at once to just be like, we have our big boys on the field, try running on us now. And the Saints offense, which has looked great through the first 2 weeks, they got held up. So shout out to the Eagles defense for putting on a good show. Shout out to Jalen Carter in particular, though. One of the best, or probably the best game of his young career so far. Eagles offense on the other side. Devonta Smith gets hurt, leaves with a concussion after a huge cheap shot from Chase Young. Like, that was a dirty, dirty play. Derwin James got suspended for his game for like a hit to the head-to-head hit. Chase Young, you would think, would also get disciplined, but he probably hasn't played enough to be like, you have a history of this, where Derwin James does have a history of it. But this Eagles offense, though, it reminds me a lot of the Giants 2022 offense, where it's just like, give the ball to Saquon. He can do everything. Yeah. It's upscale New York Giants. It's giving 2022 Giants. I don't know. Like, the Eagles, I think they're fine. I don't think this was necessarily a great win, though. Like, 15 points. Shout out to Dallas Goedert, though. He will make you remember that he is one of the better tight ends in the league when he does get the ball in his hand. It's just the ball hasn't gone his way recently. But shout out to Dallas Goedert. He will need to keep having big games if A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are out next week. That'll be a tough one. I think that's the last note I have for the Saints. But shout out to Nick Sirianni for avoiding the hot seat this week anyways, in my opinion. The Saints stumbled after their 2 back-to-back 40-point wins, but like, the defense looked good. The defense did kind of its job. Obviously, that late Goddard catch and run late was backbreaking, but you held them to 15 points. They absolutely did their job. The offense was the thing that obviously couldn't really get going. The lone Chris Olave, TD, but other than that, not much. And I think this is like a stumble for them. I don't think, the Saints have really shown who they are. Like, I think the Saints are going to continue to be an above average team. But again, it's the NFC South. I don't know. Like, again, 10 wins for the Saints I think is doable now after I've seen 3 weeks of their football. But yeah, it's a stumble for them. They didn't continue on their like super hot streak. Clint Kubiak got figured out a little bit, so we'll see how they adjust for their upcoming week here. Next game up here, Packers 30, Titans 14. shout out to Malik Willis. Shout out to myself for completely doubting the man in back-to-back weeks. And last week I was like, okay, they didn't ask him to do much. They ran the ball really well, they played good defense, and that was enough to beat the Colts. This one, though, they scored 30 points. Malik Willis in the first half, 9 for 11, 158 yards, 73 rush yards, and a TD. And again, in the first half, he played spectacular. I'll pull up his full game totals here. 13 of 19, 202 yards, 1 passing touchdown. Basically, the first half stats that I read, those were his stats. But yeah, I don't know. Shout out to the Packers. I thought that, the Packers were going to be a good team this year. I did pick them to miss, the playoffs, but I thought they were still going to be good, contending for the playoffs, but just miss out. And then Jordan Love gets hurt, and I'm like, they're definitely not making it anymore. Good football pick, Jason. No. Malik Willis kept them afloat. Matt LaFleur continues to prove that he is one of the better coaches in this league. And yeah, shout out to the defense. The defense has been very awesome so far to start the year. Jair Alexander had a pick 6. Xavier McKinney had his third pick in 3 games to start the year. Jordan Love, I think, is trending towards playing next week. So, shout out to Jordan Love. Shout out to... I don't know why shout out to... I don't know. Shout out to the Packers. This is a good team. This is a well-coached, good team. Lots of good football players on it. Shout out to the Packers. Titans on the other side. Will Levis didn't have any mind-blowingly stupid turnovers this week. He did have a pick 6. He did have another interception that wasn't great, but no, oh my God, that's the worst play I've ever seen in football. So I guess progress for Will Levis, maybe, kind of. Yeah, did not run the ball at all. The defense did as much as they could. They shut down their run game. They shut them down in the second half, but I don't know. If you're the Titans at this point, I think that you are happy with your roster construction and the way that the roster is being built, but you can also be happy and be like, okay, we can start Will Levis for the year, but you have full confidence in knowing that Will Levis isn't the guy, and whatever rookie you bring in or whoever you bring in to be the starter potentially next year, you at least know that he's going into a decent situation. The O-line is getting better. I'm sure by next year, under Bill Callahan, it'll look even better. They got weapons. The defense looks good. It's just they're missing that one piece, and it is the most important piece, and it is QB. And again, long season. Jury's still out on Levis a little bit here, but clock's ticking, and right now he is definitely trending towards not being their starting QB for 2025. We'll keep moving on here, though. Giants 21, Browns 15. Malik Neighbors becomes the first player in NFL history with 20-plus receptions, 250-plus yards, and 3 receiving TDs in his first 3 games. Yeah, he's having an absolute start. Shout out to Danny Dimes for actually having a good game in this one. What did he finish here? 24 of 34, 236 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Again, nothing crazy, but for Daniel Jones, those are absolutely elite, terrific numbers. Absolutely elite, terrific numbers for him, anyways. Yeah, and the defense played well. Simple as that. I don't know. The Browns just aren't good. Shout out to the Giants for winning this one, but my God, do the Browns have a lot of shit to figure out, and it's mainly how to get out of the nasty man's contract. Through the first 3 weeks of the season, Watson has the lowest EPA per dropback in the first 3 weeks since 2000 of any Browns QB. That's including guys like Johnny Manziel, Brady Quinn, Brandon Whedon. That's how bad Watson has been. It's been, again, bad. And trying to get out of his fully guaranteed massive contract, I guess trust the Burr. I don't know. Trust him to get out of it. He's the one who gave him the contract. Let's see if he has any secret outs and loopholes that he'll be able to get out of it. But I don't know. Like the Browns, again, they started off this one, kick the ball off, opening play, fumble, they get it, touchdown immediately, Amari Cooper, and it's like, boom. They're rolling. Nothing. Nothing the rest of the game. They're just not good. They are just not good. And part of the reason, again, their offensive line has been absolutely abused to start the year so far. So their offensive line started the game healthy. That's Jedrick Wills at left tackle, Joel Bitonio at guard, Ethan Posick at center, Wyatt Teller at right guard, and then usually it's Jack Conklin, but it's DeJuan Jones, the second-year player, who is a very good tackle in his own right. So it was looking good. It's like, okay, the Browns have their offensive line back. They finished the game with Joel Bitonio at left tackle, Ethan Posick at left guard, Nick Harris at center, Zach Zinter at right guard, and then DeJuan Jones still at right tackle. That offensive line, yeah, not good at all right now, but this Browns team is just not good. Also, shout out to the Giants offensive line. They held their own against a very good Browns defensive front, and they deserve a little bit of love because that offensive line has been bad the last few years. They invested in it this season, and it looks like it's paying off. We'll keep going here. Bears 16, Colts 21. Start off with the Colts, I guess. They won the game. Wasn't pretty. Anthony Richardson needs to play much, much better football. He is missing way too many simple, easy throws that most quarterbacks in the league should be making. But again, a win is a win. If you complete 50% of your passes and have 2 interceptions and still win the game, sure, I guess. I don't know. Shout out to Jonathan Taylor. He looks like he's back, 110 yards, 2 TDs in this one. Trey Sermon also added a touchdown on the ground, mainly because Anthony Richardson handed the ball off. Trey Sermon was about to get stopped, and then Anthony Richardson, being his huge athletic self, got right behind Sermon and just drove him into the end zone. Yeah. Colts defense looked pretty good despite no DeForest Buckner, but I think that might just be because the Bears suck. Especially the Bears offense anyways. The Colts going into this one were giving up 250 rush yards per game. No DeForest Buckner, as I mentioned. This should have been, okay, get the run game going. Get the offense going. This should have been the first game where it's like, okay, it looks like it's clicking for Caleb Williams. And I will say it did look like Caleb Williams, again, getting better in every week. I like a lot of what I saw from Caleb. He has a few turnovers that he needs to figure out, but that bad Colts rush defense, the Bears only managed to average 2.2 yards a carry against the worst rushing defense in the league. And to top it all off, DeAndre Swift only averaged 1.8 himself. DeAndre Swift is not good. He's not a good running back. Again, get him in space with the ball in his hands. He's fine. He can make some guys miss, and then he can get his yards that way. Running him the ball, running him between the tackles, running him outside the tackles, does not work. The Bears need to get someone else involved, and a lot is to blame on Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron is an absolute idiot. But you know who might be even more of an idiot? Matt Eberflus for hiring Shane Waldron on his coaching staff. Right now, I think Matt Eberflus is maybe the 6th best coach in his own division. Yeah, I put him behind Kevin O'Connell. I put him behind Matt LaFleur and Dan Campbell, obviously. And then, yeah, give me Brian Flores. Give me Ben Johnson, the Lions offense coordinator. Matt Eberflus sucks. And it's too bad that they didn't make this change earlier going into Caleb's year. And it's like, oh, we'll give him one more year to make sure it works. The defense looks good. Matt Eberflus is, I guess, doing his part. But again, when you're the head coach, you're in charge of the entire team. The offense does not look good. Shane Waldron is not a good offensive coordinator, but here we are, I guess. I guess the only good thing I can say about the Bears is, one, their defense does look good, so that's a plus. And Caleb Williams in this one at least had 363 yards passing. That's good. 33 of 52 for 363, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Yeah, Rome Odunze also had his breakout game, 6 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown. They finally remembered that Cole Kmet is on the team, got him involved, 10 catches, 97 yards, and a TD. Maybe when Keenan Allen comes back, things will like space everything out a little bit more and it'll be a little bit better, but the Bears O-line just is not good at all, and I don't know how that will get fixed, but yeah, Matt Eberflus is firmly on the hot seat, in my opinion, after this one here. Keep going. We're on to the early afternoon games now. Dolphins 3, Seahawks 24. We'll start off the Seahawks, I guess. Not much to really say. They're 3-0, have not been tested really whatsoever. They play a close game to Bo Nix in his first career start. Gave up 2 safeties. Like, Seahawks could have lost that one if Bo Nix wasn't Bo Nix. Then they play the Patriots in week 2. They go to overtime with a bad Patriots team. Simple as that. And then in this one, again, they won by 21. They won by 3 scores, but should they have won by more? Probably. We're a bad football team. So I'm just waiting. So again, Seahawks 3-0. They're winning their division right now, leading the division. I want to see them get tested, though. I think this is a good Seahawks team, but I need to see them play against not first career start Bo Nix, Jacoby Brissett, or Skylar Thompson / Tim Boyle. It would be nice to see. DK Metcalf had the lone long touchdown on this one, and honestly, I think that the Dolphins' defense, they held up fairly well. Kendall Fuller left the game in this one. I don't know if it's a long-term injury or if he just kind of had to leave the game, but hopefully he's okay. But Dolphins defense doing pretty good, especially in the second half. So I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think that our second half defensive numbers have been almost like 0, like maybe 1 touchdown score. Like, they have been doing their part anyways. The offense on the other side. Skylar Thompson had no business starting in this game. He is not an NFL quarterback. Simple as that. And then our backup in this one, Tim Boyle, also has no business being in this game. I guess he's a really nice guy because his college numbers were also absolutely horrendous. But no, he is now getting meaningful snaps for the Dolphins, and our offense fucking sucks. It's brutal, and I don't know how we can go from Tua, who, again, I like him. I think he's a very good quarterback, and have a top 5 offense. We're scoring points. We're moving the ball. It looks good. To have our backup, who has been our backup for the last, this is his 3rd season now, and not be able to do anything. Now, part of it is because I don't think Skylar Thompson is a good quarterback, and hopefully Tyler Huntley on Monday Night Football plays a little better. I hope he does. He better. Because I'm beginning to have my issues with Mike McDaniel. I started having my issues with him last week, but now it's like, we have Tyreek Hill. We have Jalen Waddle. We have Devon Achane. We have weapons. Other teams can make it work with their backup quarterbacks. Multiple teams this week won with their backup QBs, and we can't even move the ball at all. It would have been nice to run the ball against the Seahawks, who don't have a great run defense, but no, we chose to, let's try to get Skylar Thompson passing the ball. I don't understand it. I would enjoy not having a gimmick offense. Now, Skylar Thompson was the quarterback, and I do think Skylar Thompson is bad. So if Tyler Huntley plays on Monday and it still looks terrible on offense, we got to have a conversation here because it just can't be when Tua is our quarterback, we have a top 5 offense and we bring in anybody else and it's bad. Because Tyler Huntley is a good backup quarterback in this league. Is he a good starter? No. But he is someone who should be able to get into games and like win you games if everything works out well enough. I guess my only main takeaway in this one is to all the people who say, oh, anyone can throw to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Clearly not. Clearly not at all. Yeah. We will keep going here. Panthers 36, Raiders 22. Andy Dalton, welcome back to the league. We have, I wouldn't say missed you, but welcome back. And the Panthers clearly made the right decision because they do not win this game with Bryce Young. They do not put up 36 points with Bryce Young. Andy Dalton is an NFL quarterback. Andy Dalton has shown that he is an NFL quarterback. Hi, Lucy. Do you want to come up? Here. Want to come up, Lucy? No? Okay. Maybe next week we'll get her on the show. But yeah, Andy Dalton was the first QB of this season to have 300-plus pass yards and 3 TDs. Joe Burrow matched the same total last night, but Joe Burrow lost, so it doesn't really count. Yeah. But this is why they needed to bench Bryce Young, to show the rest of the team and the ownership to be like, we know what we're doing. We have good players. And it absolutely showed. Like, Andy Dalton at this point is not a good NFL quarterback, not a good starter. So the fact that he was able to come in here and immediately look good, I think Bryce Young is done. I think that Bryce Young's time in Carolina is done. I don't know how you go back to him at any point in the season unless Andy Dalton does get hurt. But Deontay Johnson looks good. He had a couple touchdowns over 100 yards. Xavier Leggett got involved a little bit. He had a 35-yard catch. I wanted to see it. Couldn't find a video. Mad about that one. Adam Thielen got involved. Hurt himself on his touchdown catch there. Hurt his hammy. It's not looking good for him, but he played his part. He got the offense. He tried so hard last year. He was the only one doing his part, and now he's passing the torch where he's like, okay, I'm hurt now. I'm done. The rest is up to you guys. He did his part. Shout out to Adam Thielen. Shout out to this Panthers offensive line, too. Only allowing 4 pressures the entire game. And this is a Raiders team. Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, they got guys. And this Panthers offensive line held up extremely well. There was a clip of they were running the ball with Chuba Hubbard. Also, shout out to Chuba Hubbard. He had a great game. Jonathan Brooks' stock is on the way up for me in fantasy anyways. But yeah, Hunt had a play where he was pulling from that right guard spot, and he's a scary man. I miss him in Miami. I desperately miss him in Miami. Wish we could have kept him, but yeah, this Panthers offense, they look good. Their defense also played pretty well. I'm interested to see. It sucks they don't have Derek Brown for the rest of the year, but excited to see what the Panthers continue to look like for the rest of the season. Raiders on the other side, not much to really say. Gardner Minshew left in this one. Aiden O'Connell came in. Looked like Aiden O'Connell. Gardner Minshew played like Gardner Minshew. Wasn't really that much of a difference between that. They're sticking with Gardner for this week too. Their running attack is just absolutely horrendous. Alexander Mattison, Zamir White, not good. Very, very bad, actually, if I could say. But yeah, the Raiders, after a big, big win last week, kind of came back down to earth and came back down to earth. Very hard. I think Antonio Pierce said after the game there was a lot of guys out there making business decisions. A lot of people think that's on Devontae Adams after he's made a bunch of comments already where he's kind of iffy on if he wants to be there or not. And so the trade rumors are swirling around him again. Teams like the Steelers have brought up, do the Jets make a trade? I don't think the Jets should make a trade. With the way Joe Douglas has managed everything so far, but the Steelers would be an interesting option. Either way, Devontae Adams, names out there for trades, but the person who I really think he was talking about was corner Jack Jones, because there was a couple clips of him in the run game where he just, okay, there goes Chuba Hubbard. Cool. Right by him, no effort to really make a tackle. And if he did make an effort to make a tackle, it was extremely low effort. Yeah. That's the Raiders, though. Simple as that. Keep going here. Ravens 28, Cowboys 25. Lamar Jackson is now 21-1 versus the NFC in his career. If you're wondering who that lone loss is against, it is against the New York Giants and Daniel Jones. So, kind of a crazy stat here, but Lamar didn't really have to do much because this was a running game for the Ravens, and should be their identity. Give the ball to Derrick Henry. But Lamar, 12 for 15, 182 yards and a passing TD, also had 87 yards on the ground and another TD. This was the Derrick Henry game. This was okay, Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry, and people should have known this. People shouldn't have had their doubts about him, but 25 carries, 151 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 massive stiff arm on, I don't know who it was on the Cowboys, but he got thrown into the dirt. Derrick Henry is still him. Give him just a little bit of space and he gets going. It is hard to knock him off his tracks. He is, again, I think that it's like him and Adrian Peterson, who running backs who I have watched with my own eyes, both of them in their primes. Like, those are the top 2 guys I have ever watched personally anyways. Derrick Henry is incredible, and this should be the Ravens' plan of attack, is just run the shit out of the ball. It was easy to do because the Cowboys, no run defenders whatsoever on that team, but yeah. Other things about the Ravens in this one. Justin Tucker, passing of the torch moment in this one. Brandon Aubrey is clearly the best kicker in the NFL right now. He kicked a 66-yard field goal in this one, while Justin Tucker missed a 46-yard field goal in this one. He has the most field goal misses on the season now. I think that's his 3rd miss on the season. Sucks it might be the beginning of the end for Justin Tucker. And yeah, Mark Andrews, the other kind of star on that team. He had 4 routes run the entire game. Now, obviously the game plan in this one was run the shit out of the ball, and that's exactly what they did, but Mark Andrews only having 4 routes the entire game, not good. Not good whatsoever. I think he only played 30% of the snaps, so that might be a fantasy thing that people can watch out for, is Mark Andrews not really getting touches. Cowboys on the other side. I really don't. Actually, last thing for the Ravens is they let the Cowboys get back in with this one. I forget what the score was. It was 28-6, and then the Ravens scored 19 in that 4th quarter. Missed their 2-point conversion, went for, got their onside kickback. Like, it came down. It ended up being close. It shouldn't have been close, and that should worry the Ravens because, again, I said the stat last week that they have blown 10 4th-quarter leads in the last 4 seasons, and you don't really want that being your identity, and it looks like, again, they won this one, thankfully, but it didn't look great in that 4th quarter, and that's something that they definitely have to work and fix here, though. The Cowboys, though, I don't know. I don't know what you really want me to say. They can't run the football whatsoever. So that just forces people to focus on CeeDee Lamb for most of the game. And when it's not CeeDee Lamb, it's Jake Ferguson, I guess. Like, the offense is bland. It's not anything special, and it's as simple as that. The defense, although they do have some notable names on it, can't defend the run whatsoever. They don't have any big linebackers to plug their holes. They don't even have any big bodies in the middle of that field. They were hoping that Mozzie Smith could be that guy, their 1st-round pick from last year, but that has yet to be seen. I was low on the Cowboys going into this year, and I think I'm being proven right. Simple as that. Keep going here. Niners 24, Rams 27. Huge win for the Rams. absolutely massive win, and with all of their injuries right now across the offensive line and offense in general, the fact that Sean McVay was able to scheme this type of game and stay in this one, because basically, like the kind of Cowboys who couldn't pull it off in the end, the Niners were in control of this game the entire time. Literally the entire time, and then it was that second half where the Rams scored 20 on them. Shout out to Tutu Atwell, couple big catches in this one. Shout out to Matt Stafford for just continuing to overcome adversity wherever he goes. And Matt Stafford's just a damn good quarterback. Shout out to the Rams' young defense for, again, continuing to play well, especially that defensive line. But I don't know. I think all the credit, not all the credit, but like majority of the credit goes for Sean McVay and knowing Kyle Shanahan and knowing his tendencies. And again, being able to scheme a game where they are outclassed in every sense and coming away with a win. They were big underdogs for a reason, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter to end this one. So shout out to the Rams. Niners on the other side. They played a great game. I don't think that there's much things to really say about it. Jawan Jennings, 11 catches, 175 yards, 3 TDs. I think he joins Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice as the only Niners with like 10-plus catches, 150-plus yards, and 3 TDs in a game. That is elite company, obviously. That's Hall of Fame company, actually. And despite the losing effort, Brock Purdy kind of silenced some of the haters. If you weren't paying attention, Niners, obviously, no Christian McCaffrey in this one, no George Kittle, no Deebo Samuel, and he played great. All things considered, I'll actually pull up his stats here. Was 22 of 30 for 292 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 41 rushing yards too. Nice to see Brock Purdy get the feet moving a little bit too. Jordan Mason continues to have a good game, but again, he's not CMC. No one is. And really, I mean, Ronnie Bell, Cameron was calling Ronnie Bell a terrorist. Probably shouldn't see the field. Maybe Ricky Pearsall gets back soon, but I don't know. It's not time to hit the panic button on the Niners yet. Like, this is a team where when they get going, and they will get going, because it's just a matter of time with that much talent on the roster, they will get going again. I think they're still in my top 5 for power rankings right now. Like, this Niners team is good. Despite being 1-2, despite having the same record as the Dolphins, I think just wait on them to get back. I might look at what their odds to make the Super Bowl is right now, because their odds might have been juiced up just maybe a little bit. I don't know. Vegas is usually smarter than I am, so I guess we'll see. Maybe some concerns on this defense for the Niners. Maybe just a little bit, but like they're playing fine. Like I wouldn't say like allowing 27 to the Rams and it was like a late punt return that got them in field goal range to win this game and not bring it to overtime. But I think actually Javon Hargrave is going to be out for the year, and that's a big loss for them. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Niners are fine, but like they got to show something soon. Next game up here, Lions 20, Cardinals 13. Lions played well. They did exactly what they needed to in this one. Wasn't really a flashy, impressive game, but Jared Goff, 18 of 23 for 199 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and interception. David Montgomery had 105 yards on the ground and a TD. Gibbs had 83 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 75 yards. Oh, sorry. Sam Laporta left this game with a ankle sprain. It's a low ankle sprain, so that should mean he's good to go for this coming weekend. But really, the shout out I have to give is to the Lions defense in this one, because this is a Cardinals team who in the first 2 weeks of the season put up, I think, 28 points against the Bills, and then kicked the shit out of the Rams last week. And they play a Lions defense who I like a lot of the players on the Lions defense, but we need to see them play as a unit. And they did exactly that. They shut down James Conner and this run game that's looked very good. They did enough to limit the passing game with Kyler and his weapons there. So this is a game that we didn't see from the Lions last year. It's kind of a lower scoring defense won them the game. Like, that didn't happen for them last year. Last year, they were in shootouts a lot of the time. And this offense still really isn't clicking full cylinders. I think they're really missing someone like Josh Reynolds, who is just another kind of underneath target for them, because they have him on Raw, obviously, but like JMO's not the guy to run short routes, middle of the field stuff. He's trying to take the top off the defense. So I think they are missing Josh Reynolds just a little bit there, but this was a good game for the Lions. And that hook and ladder play was absolutely phenomenal for them. Something that, I mean, of course, Dan Campbell's the first one to use it. I don't know. The first team to really master like the downfield lateral in the NFL will absolutely change the way that the game is played. Even the Niners, they had to do that schoolyard bullshit to try to get a touchdown, to try to win the game at the end there with no time left. And I think it was Kyle Juszczyk. If he would have made one more like good pitch to the outside, I think Brandon Ayuk was there. Again, can't really see that other half of the field, and I don't know if there was defenders waiting for him, but it looked like Ayuk had a ton of green grass in front of him, and he would have been gone, but they couldn't make the toss, unfortunately. Yeah, Cardinals on the other side. Again, you got outclassed in this one. I thought that this was the only game I kind of predicted right, where the team was like, okay, this is where teams separate themselves, and this is where, and yeah, the Lions separated themselves from the Cardinals there. However, the Cardinals had a pick six that was taken back unfairly, unjustly. The refs claimed that the 2-minute warning hit and the play was blown dead. That ball was snapped with 2:01 on the clock. Should have counted. Game realistically should have been tied. So yeah, Cardinals get hosed like a little bit there, but yeah, shout out to the Lions defense for playing well. And finally, the Sunday night football game: Chiefs 22, Falcons 17. Chiefs continue to just win ugly games. I don't think the Chiefs have looked relatively good so far to start this year, but who cares? They're going to win the division. They're going to make the playoffs, and then that's when they start playing like who the Chiefs are. Their defense is playing great. Spags has that defense playing very, very well. But yeah, like Pat Mahomes through the first 3 weeks of the year has not looked like a top 5 quarterback in the league. Fringe top 10 probably. I'm not, like, off the top of my head, I'm not going to go through and who's had better years than Pat Mahomes. But again, none of this matters right now. The Chiefs, this is just exhibition games. Their real season starts in January. And we will definitely see them then. Other notes I have for them, defensive pass interference. That was a big topic of conversation in the game against the Bengals last week. And it happened again. Now it was the Chiefs defender messing with the Falcons receiver. And it was a worse looking pass interference than the one that got called in the Bengals game. The Chiefs corner didn't turn his head whatsoever. He just kind of ran right into the receiver, boxed him out. Receiver couldn't make a play on the ball. Textbook pass interference. Didn't get called. And again, the Falcons lost by less than a touchdown. That's a big moment in this one. That's a big moment. Other Chiefs note here: Travis Kelce, non-factor now. And again, come playoff time, I am betting Travis Kelce over on everything in that first game because nothing matters. Exhibition games for the Chiefs at this point. So I think it's good that they're able to move the ball fairly well without Travis Kelce being an issue in this one. So yeah, Chiefs 3-0, best team in football until proven otherwise. Anyways, Falcons on the other side. The Falcons are a fun team, like the Commanders in that way. I don't have much expectations for them when it terms like a playoff run, but like The Falcons are a team that you can put on your TV every single Sunday and enjoy the way that they play. Kirk Cousins is looking better and better every week. Post his Achilles, Bijan Robinson might be the best running back in football. He's a ton of fun to watch out of that backfield. The defense is playing well. Justin Simmons got his 6th interception against Pat Mahomes. Obviously, that's the most Pat Mahomes has thrown to a single player in his career. Justin Simmons just knows how to bait him, into those throws. But yeah, I guess my lone complaint from this game, 4th and inches with basically the game on the line and the Falcons driving to score a touchdown to try to win this one. And instead of just running up the middle with Bijan Robinson, they decide to run a stretch play where it wasn't blocked correctly, and Nick Bolton is the big hero in this one, wrapping up Bijan Robinson. Just such an overthink on offense coordinator Zach Robinson's part. Like, just run the ball forward, run the ball ahead with your terrific running back in Bijan Robinson. Get that first down, continue to drive down the field. I don't think it's that complicated, but a lot of coaches tend to overthink in scenarios like that. But yeah, that does it for the Week 3 recap. If you're watching on video, or I mean, you'll see my clips and you'll notice, but a little bit of a different setup. We are trying, so usually my laptop sets on, we have like a small apartment size table. Usually it sits on that a little bit higher. And honestly, I like this. I need to add more pictures on this side to really fill it out. Need to get Dolly Parton back up here too. But yeah, I kind of like the new camera setup. This is essentially how it looks like when I have a guest here. Like, I shift over a little bit and we can talk. I think this is a good setup. I like the way it looks anyways. Yeah, other than that, I got a dog. That's who the surprise guest appearance was going to be. Didn't want to make her debut on the Cover Zero podcast, unfortunately, but hopefully Lucy will get the courage to sit next to me next week, or maybe even Friday's episode, because I do forget that I do 2 episodes a week now. But yeah, that'll do it for this one. If you've liked this, please like, share, retweet, tell all your friends. And until next time, peace.